It's another beautiful Tuesday morning. How are you doing? Welcome to Parenting Tuesday on Jam 316. My name is James Okumu. Asante sana for taking the time to hook up with me today. The season is here, my friend. Christmas is just around the corner. And sometimes as a parent, Christmas can come with a lot of pressures. I remember growing up, Christmas ilikuwa, it was that time where we expected goodies. We expected new clothes. By the way, do people still buy new clothes over the Christmas season? Do you still buy new clothes for your children? New clothes and all these things, and sometimes our parents would be under pressure. I remember there's one time our dad, and I know Mr. Okumu is watching. I remember there's one Christmas, our dad bought us shorts. We were waiting for Christmas clothes. Akatununulia shorts kama zile za scout. Tulikuwa na uniform, me and my brothers. Oh my goodness. I still have those Christmas pictures. That's a story for another day. But the season is here. Christmas, and then we get into the new year. And then right after that, we have back to school. And it's been a tough year economically for a lot of people in the country and even just across the globe because of the pandemic that we are still battling. Some people lost jobs. Some people went on a salary cut. Some people lost their business. Some people are in the process of trying to rebuild again. Some people are still trying to look for something to do. And so that's the situation we find ourselves in economically. Yet, the Christmas season is here with us. Our children expecting celebrations here and there. New Year, Happy New Year 2021, celebrations there. And then right after that, all our kids are supposed to go back to school. Remember, the whole of this year, 2 terms actually, not the whole year, 2 terms our children have been at home and now they have to go back to school. I can guarantee you have to buy new uniform. Kwanza vile wamekuwa kikaa tu ndani ya nyumba, they've gained some weight. You have to buy new uniform, you have to buy new books, you have to buy shoes, you have to pay school fees. So it's expense. Expense your Christmas, expense your New Year, expense your back to school. As a parent, how do you cope with all that? That's what we want to talk about today on Parenting Tuesday. 2 amazing guests will be joining us today as we dig deep into this discussion. And even as we begin, tell me, wewe umejipanga namna gani? How have you organized yourself, especially financially as a parent? Christmas, New Year, and then back to school. Do you have a plan or are you overwhelmed? Ama umefika tu mahali umesema, you know what? Sina uwezo. Jehovah, I'm just looking up to you. Do something. I need a miracle this Christmas. What's your plan? What are you thinking about? What are some of the pressures that you're facing as a parent in this season? SMSs on 20316, WhatsApp on 0786 316 316. Parenting Tuesday, karibuni sana. Have you had your cup of tea today? If you've not had your cup of tea, go the Eden Tea way. Eden Tea is the finest garden tea available at leading outlets at an affordable price. It comes to you in various flavors. Eden Green Tea, Eden Purple Tea, Eden Lemon Tea, Eden Ginger Tea, Eden Premium Tea. I'm telling you, all of them top-notch, my friend, finest garden tea. And Eden Tea is reminding us in this season we need to be our brother's keeper. Together we can flatten the coronavirus curve. How do we do that? Watu waoshe mikono na maji na sabuni. Wash your hands with soap and running water. Put on a face mask, not on your chin. It is not for hiding your beard or your lack of a beard. It is for your mouth and your nose. Let's put on our face masks properly, and then also as we interact with others, let's maintain interpersonal distance, avoid crowded places. Let's just be vigilant. It is these small things that are helping us to flatten the curve, so let's continue to do that. Also, if you haven't tried out Eden Tea, try it out this week. I'm guaranteeing you, you will love it. So here we are, Parenting Tuesday, back to school, Christmas festivities. How do we manage all that? I already have an SMS that's coming in from Mercy. Mercy is saying, schools are almost opening. I have no idea where my school fees is going to come from. Mi naomba tu Mungu afungue milango for a financial breakthrough. That's the reality for quite a number of people. So joining us today via Zoom, I have 2 amazing ladies who will help us to have this discussion. Financial advisor Stella Chepngeno. Stella, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good to have you. Karibu sana.
And thank you so much.
I also have a parent, Bella Owino. Bella, karibu sana. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Karibu sana. Good to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Maybe I'll begin with you, Bella. Do you feel like this season iko na pressure mingi kiasi because of just how tough the whole year has been, and then now there's Christmas and then New Year and then immediately schools are reopening? Do you feel pressure as a parent?
Well, there is pressure, and it's like any other festive season.
Okay.
We've had tough months from March, and we have even more reason to celebrate.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Because if you didn't have a relative affected or a friend affected by the virus, you even have more reason to celebrate.
Okay. When
January, we'll push January. We'll just say, God be with us in January.
January kikuja, God be with us.
Celebrating. We won't stop celebrating.
Okay.
Even more reason to celebrate.
I like that attitude. I like that attitude. On matters back to school, as a parent, do you feel you're ready when we come to? It's just in the that's in the next couple of weeks, actually.
Okay, I'm partly ready, partly I'm not ready. I'm 50-50. I don't think in January, besides the financial problem.
Yeah. We seem to be losing you. We are losing you, Bella. Stella, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Stella, what do you think about this scenario? It's been a tough year for parents, and the festive season is here, and then back to school. What are your thoughts about just everything?
Yeah, it's really been a tough season, and especially that people have lost their jobs.
Yeah.
There's been pay cuts, and so financially, I would say that it has been a very, very tough year. But at the same time, I just want to thank God because it has also enabled people to think outside the box. And to see the importance of having emergency funds, importance of having not just one source of income, but several sources of income.
Yeah.
And I usually say, according to Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 2, the Bible says that invest in 7 ventures or 8, for you do not know when the calamity will come upon the land. So I think this one is come out very clearly during this season that what the Bible told us to do is actually what we need to do because COVID has told us that. Yes.
Okay.
So it was a time to reflect as well, in as much as there are challenges.
Okay. It's really going to be the first Christmas we are celebrating under a pandemic. And I'm just wondering, how do we make this work? Looking at the tough year that has been, there's still those who have not been able to maybe set up another business or find another job. Personally, I was even telling my wife, I don't think there's a year I have received so many cries for help. And it's not help for 10,000 bob. No, it is 500, 200. I don't have bus fare for today. We don't have a meal for today. That has been so consistent the whole year. And I'm just wondering now with Christmas here, how do we manage?
Yes, what we need to do is to prioritize. Right now we are prioritizing. There are things that are very, very important. And one of the things that is important is the children's education.
Okay.
We have celebrated Christmas for a very long time. And therefore, whatever we've got right now is we can celebrate it in a way that doesn't have to cost us a lot of money. And then, of course, now prioritize and be able to see what is urgent and what is important. Because what is urgent and important is the education of the children.
Okay.
We cannot postpone that. We cannot redo that. We cannot tell the children, don't go to school so that you can go another time. So that is what we need to prioritize right now. So for parents, I would say that what they need to do is just look at where are they? What is the worst case scenario? And then, of course, I was looking at situations whereby parents will have to change school. Their parents will have to change school for their children.
Yes.
Which means that they also have to talk to their children to be able to have an understanding of the same, because the children needs to be explained to that this is a tough season and we need to change school. I'm seeing some parents going to ask for a payment plan for the school fees.
Yes.
And be able to tell the school, how do I pay you on a monthly basis? instead of bringing in a lump sum amount because of the situation. And I'm also praying that the schools will be able to also be understanding, so that they can also understand the situation as is and give parents even a flexible repayment plan, especially for the school fees. Yeah, so that is what I would say. So let's prioritize. Let's do what is most important and what is most urgent.
Okay.
With whatever resources we have. Yes.
Wow. Bella, back to you. I'm just wondering, will the children, as a parent, will the children understand that this is a different Christmas, or will they still expect things to be the way they've always been?
They will understand, because this is something they've seen happen. We can also be able to explain to them why things are going to be different, why even if we're going to celebrate, it's not going to be as usual. We have to reduce things. If we were doing so much last year, we'll do a little percentage below.
Yes.
Because we have school fees next year. We have other requirements. We have lost jobs as parents. They've seen that. We have lost businesses as parents. They've seen that. So if we talk to them well, they will understand.
Okay. Is this a conversation we should be having with them now? Ama tungoje ngoje mpaka hiyo wiki ya Christmas?
No, we have been.
Okay.
We have been having it with them. They are seeing things. They are watching memes.
Yes.
So they are aware.
Wow. So your children have taken this whole thing positively?
Yeah, they have taken it positively. And, okay, it will not be fully. They'll not absorb it fully, but at least they will have understood that times were bad this year. So maybe the problem we have in January is just the school fees, new uniforms, new shoes, new everything. That one we have to buy. Fees we have to pay.
Yes.
At Christmas, we can prioritize the schooling and reduce the spending during this festive season, so they will understand. I'm sure they will.
I'm just curious, how many children do you have and how old are they?
I have 3. There's one in Form 2, there's one in Class 8, he reported.
Yes.
And then there's one in Class 6.
Okay. So for the one in Class 8 who reported, what feedback are they giving you in terms of how it's been going to school? Okay,
there's the stigma.
Okay.
In fact, I had my son returned to me at one point. He was having some pneumonia-ish symptoms. I was called by the school. Other children were afraid. So it was just normal homa.
Yeah.
But now other kids could not settle. So I was told, Bella, come for your child. Other children cannot settle. So I had to come stay with him, have him tested. And when I was sure he was okay, I took him back to school. Now he's okay.
Wow. Did that have any effect on him emotionally?
It did. He just said, Mom, sasa watu hawataki kukaa karibu na mimi because wanafikiria niko na COVID, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But when we explained it to him, and then he was treated and he was okay, he knew it was normal coma that he has had before.
Okay. Wow. I don't know what you think about that, Stella, because I think that's also another avenue we haven't really had conversations about and looked at. The whole stigma issue, and when our children go back to school, I mean, how do we deal with that? Because that is prone to happen. Even just as Bella is explaining, we'll definitely see a good number of cases of that manner. How do we prepare our children for that? How do we deal with that?
Okay, thanks so much. I think what we need to do is to prepare our children by talking to them and explaining to them the whole scenario of COVID.
Okay.
The conversations we are having in our houses about COVID and who has contracted COVID and how they are being treated, they should be geared towards helping the children to have an understanding that it is something that can be handled, so that even when they go back to school, they are able to show that love.
Yeah.
Because what we are teaching them is that in as much as COVID is the way it is, you also need to still show the love. So the conversations around the house, what are you talking? What are you saying concerning COVID as parents or as adults? What are the children hearing? What are they listening to? So again, even when you're watching with the TV together and you hear a negative comment, are you able to correct that? so that we prepare them and tell them even once they go to school, they should not be scared, but they should be able to handle that thing by either reporting to the authorities that we have seen a certain maybe child who is sick, to be proactive, not reactive. So we need to help them to be proactive, not reactive. And of course, just ensure that the conversations also we have as adults are conversations that are positive towards even the whole scenario, that we have seen people who have gotten out of the hospitals, and maybe some of the people have been personally affected, and we have seen people who have gone to the hospital and they have come out of the hospital well. So those are the conversations we need to talk around them, and we can also be able to help them understand that yes, indeed, COVID can be fatal, but it is not all the time that it is fatal. There are people who have recovered, because I think what we are focusing on more is the people who have gone, not the people who have recovered. We need to tell them that we have more people who have recovered than the people who have gone. Yes.
Okay, great. Now, shortly, we'll look at the whole issue of borrowing. I think there's never a time we've had so many options for borrowing. I still remember the first time I ever tried to apply for a bank loan, and it took months. It took months, and then they denied me the loan. But nowadays we have all these apps that have come up. You know, we have all these avenues, and the easy way out in a season like this would be to borrow from here. To Kule Christmas, next year will take care of itself. Is that a proper way to think through? And if I'm to borrow in this season as a parent, what wisdom do I need to have? We'll talk about that shortly. We are talking about Christmas season, back to school. Are parents ready financially, psychologically? Are the children ready as well? What challenges are you going through in this season, especially economically? Talk to me as a parent. 20316 SMS line. WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. It's Parenting Tuesday. We are looking at the festive season, and then right after that, back to school. Parents, are we ready? That's the conversation we are having today. And in studio with us via Zoom, I have Stella Chapniano, who's a financial consultant, financial advisor, and Bella Owino, who is a parent, sharing with us their experiences. Phyllis Ndongo says, as far as I'm concerned, I've got 2 teens in my house. Mmoja ni mkubwa, ako 20 years. My kids are very much understanding because the situation haikubalishi kusherekea Christmas. Then next year school fees na uniforms ndio hizo. So we shall work with what we have, and the rest God shall provide. Bora uhai. That's what Phyllis says. Phyllis, thank you for your message. And then I have one here from Phoebe in Nyeri. Phoebe says, media plays a very big role in hyping events and raising expectations. When brightly lit and decorated Christmas trees are in the background in the broadcasting studios, it becomes difficult to be convinced otherwise. My request is that, like everybody else, the broadcasters should tone the hype without affecting the message, so as to help, especially with children in the rural areas and the younger ones. I don't know what you think about this, Stella and Bella. Do you think media also has a role to play where expectations are concerned? Tukiangalia watoto and the pressure that sometimes this festive season comes with. What do you think?
Yes, I think I agree with Phoebe to some extent, because and basically it's because of maybe the advertisements that come on concerning the Christmas season. And some of the things, there's nothing much you can do about it, because I mean, business has to go on. Everybody is trying to make ends meet.
Yes.
And that is why, again, we still go back to the parents and just say that have conversations with your children. Let them understand your situation, because people need to understand, children need to understand their home. They need to understand their situations. So yes, there's nothing much we can do with the media, because of course there's also business aspect of it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we also need to tell the children there's a difference between what happens in the media and what happens outside the media. They need to have that understanding.
Okay. Bella, I'm just wondering, many families come up with traditions, especially over Christmas season. There are those who usually travel. Kuna wale wanaendaga Dubai, kuna wale wanaendaga Geshagi. There are those, I mean, there are things we have built as traditions that we do over the Christmas season. I'm just wondering, for your family, if you have a tradition, there's a particular thing or a particular place you usually go during the Christmas season, and how is that being affected this year?
It's going to be affected. We usually go maybe for a walk in the park, maybe go to KWS, the Langata place.
Yeah.
But that is going to be different because as much as we don't have the money the way we had it last year, there's the risk of contracting the virus again.
Very true.
So we cannot intermingle the way we used to. They have to understand that. The way Stella has said, we also have to tell them that why we are not doing it, why we are not going back to traditions this year.
Yeah.
And on the part of the media is also in business. They also lost so much during the COVID. They need to claw back their profits. So it is about us to take what they are giving us or not to. So we'll tell our children, as much as there's good screen behind James there, it's not a must. We have that because of this and this and this.
Okay. I'm just wondering whether we're looking at the whole aspect of intermingling, and we can't intermingle a lot during this season, but yet in January they're still going to go back to school, and the school is like a mingling of sorts. How do we balance that conversation?
We'll just pray, because now we
Yeah.
cannot stay with them for another 1 year.
Yes.
As much as we are scared that not enough measures have been put, we can also not stay with them in the house forever. There's the spoilage part, there's the peer group part, which is usually minimal when they're in school.
Yes.
This is where we acknowledge that teachers have been doing a great job. They've been our children's keeper. Most of us as parents are just ready because we want to get the children away from us. We want to take them back to be taken care of by other people.
Yes. in
We
fact,
don't want them.
in fact, Bella, on that whole story, I'm just wondering, there's probably another angle parents we haven't really thought about that much. What if things change and they can't go back in January? What if this curve doesn't flatten? Because the way things are looking right now, things are getting pretty serious, and so there is a possibility that even that 5th, I think it's the 5th of January, schools may not reopen. So I don't know, as a parent, have you considered that, and what are your thoughts about that?
I've also told myself there's a possibility that they might not report next year and at that time we will just accept now it is with us. All we have to do, we explain to them that all we have to do until COVID is gone is just to stay alive.
Yeah.
People can get educated even in 2030. Education doesn't go away. So as parents, we should not get tired with our children.
Yes. I like that.
Tunataka tu kuwatuma back to school, warudi kwa walimu, wakikaa hapa wanaharibika, there's a lot of eating, there's a lot of everything, but that is what the teachers usually face.
Yes.
So now we have mad respect for the teachers, for the job they have been doing.
Very true, very true.
We pray that by January everything is going to be okay. The curve will maybe have gone down, if not stopped completely, and we're able to embrace new things.
Very true. We pray that as well. Stella, back to you. Borrowing. Hey, opportunities are there. I don't know how many apps we have that we can borrow from. We can also for Lisa and all these things that are available at our fingertips. The temptation is high. What do? Do we borrow? Do we go on a borrowing spree? Next year will take care of itself.
Yes, thank you for that question. I think what we need to be able to do right now is just to, first of all, is to be able to look at where are we in terms of our expenses, because I know there are people who have lost jobs. I know there are people who have cut, whose salaries have been cut.
Yes.
So we need to also cut. For example, I've seen people move houses. So first of all, we need to start there. We need to look at where are we and what can we do? Can we change homes? Can we change houses? Can we even move away from the city? If you're in the city, can you move maybe to the village? I've seen people who have been able to do that, just to be able to cut costs, because we know it's not a permanent situation, it is a short-term situation. Now, for the people who have done that and they're seeing that there's no other alternative, let me just explain something about debt. Debt is a trap. So just like look at it from the perspective of the rat that you're trying to trap, and once they get into the trap, it's a mess.
Yeah.
And eventually they die, you know, or you kill them, or you do something to them. So once we have that understanding that debt is a trap, then we have to make very wise decisions. And when I say wise decisions, I have been talking to quite a number of people who are actually deeply in debt right now. And what I've been trying to help them with is what got you there. Because what is happening is people are looking at debt as a shortcut. That is where the biggest problem is. They are looking at debt as a shortcut. They are not thinking outside the box. And so when we sit down with some people and we share ideas, you realize that there are so many things that people can do even right now by just looking at how are they spending their time, and what can they do within the times that they are free. Let me share an example that someone once shared in a class that I was training. And he said that, I asked them, how long do you watch football, for example? They say it is 1.5 hours. So if you watch 2 matches, those are 3 hours. What can you do in 3 hours? And we were having a brainstorming, and he came up with this idea that he said, you know, I can sell boiled eggs in 3 hours. And I told him, how many crates can you sell in a populated area? He said, I can do 3 crates. And then we do the mathematics. It comes to around 20,000 to 20,000 a month if they consistently do that.
Wow.
So what am I trying to say here? Yes, and I told them, what if now we get 2 other boys or 2 other girls to be able to do that same work? That means you can go home even with around 50,000. What am I trying to say is we let's not look for the shortcut of getting ourselves into debt, because it will reach a point whereby you get into a trap, and then now there's nobody else willing to lend you, and then now you start having problems and wanting to commit suicide and wanting to kill yourself. So what we need to do is, what are other ways that we can be able to earn money? Let's remove the pride, let's remove the ego, and let's just work out a plan that sometimes is not very interesting. Sometimes you find ourselves, people have taken advantage of selling the masks during this season, selling the sanitizers. We've seen people take advantage of, you know, the soap, you know, the liquid soap. It doesn't require any degree to make it. Even the jig and the rest of the product. So what can someone do with their time and their skills during this season to be able to get more money? So what I would advise is avoid the debt as much as possible, because it is not solving the problem, it is postponing the problems. Come up with ways to make more money, because the problem is that the income is reduced.
How as a parent, how do I deal with the pressure? Because the season is already here. Today is the 8th. You know, in another 2 weeks, we shall be saying Merry Christmas, and everybody will be celebrating. And let's throw the media in there with all the pressure. And nowadays, man, with all this, in fact, nowadays it's worse, because it's not just the conventional media. I mean, our phones are buzzing in this season. I don't know about you, but my phone is buzzing. You know, anytime I click on something on the internet, I find it on my phone. Buy this one, buy this one. So there's all this pressure. So how do I deal with that? Because the temptation is, let me just borrow something kidogo, angalau watoto wakuwe na Christmas, angalau, it's been a tough year, angalau wakule kakuku, angalau tununue kambuzi, you know, just tuambie mwili pole, as we usually like to say. How do I overcome that pressure? You know, when all these apps are beckoning me, they're calling me by name, James, I have a solution for you. How do you overcome that? It's hard. Bella, what do you think? Yes.
Yeah, the temptations are there. The adverts are lucrative. They look like you can borrow and borrow and borrow. Borrowing, okay, it's not bad per se. But now we have to have the discipline of refunding. Not borrowing from another source to pay this other source. You know, the way they do the pyramid thing.
Yes.
I'll borrow from this. When this one, it's due time on the other one, I'll borrow from this and pay this. So in the end, you're a total mess, because you did not have the discipline in the first place. But we should not borrow for a festive season. And as I said before, we only need to talk to our children. If we took Muzi last year, we'll take Kuku this year, because that is a bit cheaper. If you borrow now, what will you do in January? Because that is when we truly need to borrow for the school fees. So ignore the adverts. I remember there was a time the service provider opened a borrowing. It gave out a borrowing service, and Kenyans had borrowed, was it 8 million or 8 billion in 1 week?
It was billions.
Billion.
Are we even serious? So we should try by all means to avoid that.
Yes.
As much as we should borrow, we should only borrow when there is need, not because it is tempting.
I like that. Stella, what do you think?
Yeah, for me, I would always say if debt is debt. I mean, look at it from that perspective. And anytime you take a debt that you are going to consume, it is called a bad debt, and it doesn't have another name. We cannot baptize it any other way.
Yes.
It is called a bad debt, and eventually it will get you into the wrong places. And what Bella is talking about is what we call a really bad debt, because you are now borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, which is a very, very serious scenario. And how many people are disciplined? How many people are disciplined? There are very few people when it comes to debt that are disciplined. Majority are not disciplined. They think that they are in control. They think that they are in charge until they find themselves that now they have borrowed from every app. And I usually ask myself, have you ever sat down to just do the calculation? How much are you giving these people? And if every app you are paying, let's say 750 for every 10,000, and you have 5 of them, 750 times 5 is how much? And then you multiply that by 12 months. How much have you given that person? Because it hooks you. And that is the reason why they are there, to hook you. It's like an addiction. Just like any other addiction. So what I would say is, during this festive season, just leave the loans alone. Let me just put it that way. Just leave the loans alone and just live within what you can be able to afford within this time. We have all understood what we have gone through. And from March to now, the children have understood that it is tough. So my advice is, during this season, do not borrow. And if you must borrow for business. Borrow to go and invest. Borrow to go and do something that will give you more money if you must borrow. But don't borrow for consumption. I'm really praying, and I'm talking to every parent. Don't borrow for consumption. Don't borrow because of peer pressure. And like you had said, the peer pressure is not only on the children. The adults also have peer pressure.
Yes.
That is what I came to understand. Yes. The adults have peer pressure. So how do you manage? You must come back now to your senses. It is no longer the time that we lived before. We must come back to your senses and let us be real with the situation.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm inviting your questions to come through and also your observations. We are talking about the festive season and back to school, the financial implications. Parents, are we ready? 20316 SMS line, WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. It is the Parenting Tuesday. We are talking about finances on Parenting Tuesday. It sounds more like the financial clinic. It's not the clinic. It's Parenting Tuesday. We are looking at Christmas, New Year, back to school. Are we prepared as parents, especially economically? On the whole issue of borrowing, my good friend all the way from Qatar, this is Moses, says, I'm loving the discussion. I remember back in 2018, I was having loans from 5 apps. I thank God I've managed to repay, though I'm still struggling with one. If people know what it means to have those apps, huwezi jaribu. In fact, to manage my finances due to the debts, I was now borrowing from friends to pay the app. Then immediately I borrowed to repay the friend. It was just one vicious cycle. I'm glad you learned your lessons, Moses. Thank you for your feedback right there. Now, Bella and Stella, I'm just thinking. So here we are. We've found ourselves in this situation. We can. There's nothing much we can do to change a lot of things because we are still in the midst of a pandemic. And for all of us, if not most of us, this one found us unprepared. You know, it just hit us and we had to make ends meet. So I'm just wondering, what lessons can we pick from this year as parents to better prepare for next year, especially where our economic side of parenting is concerned? You know, maybe I can begin with you, Bella. What are some of the key lessons you would say you have learned as a parent, just looking at 2020 and everything we've had to go through?
Well, we have learned that we should have a backup plan. Always have a backup plan. Always have your savings right. Stay woke. just have something you do besides your maybe daily job. So that, like you, James, if this one goes off, you do have a fallback, something you can fall back on. Everybody needs that. And then now most of us have realized we have to relate well with people from Shags, because now most people are going back there. And then,
very true.
Go to Melima Kitu. No, now we are begging them.
Wow.
You know. So relate well with people. You will need them. Like, people need you a lot right now. Maybe they did not last year. So we need to make a few changes in our lives. We need to stop going for shopping sprees. Me, I've stopped buying shoes. I like shoes. I've stopped buying. I've prioritized things.
Yes.
I'm saving every coin now for school fees, because that is what is important. And maybe a little for the festive season. So it hit us hard, but we have learned that the world can come to a standstill. We didn't know that.
Yes, yes.
Thank God it happened in our era. We have a history.
Very true. Very true. What about when it comes to your children's education? With children staying home most of this year, what would you say you've learned concerning your children's education?
Okay, I have learned that most parents, we should be in the know of how the learning materials, what happens in class, because now we are forced to do that. Yeah. At one point, most parents, while we work at tutors in the house,
yes.
Then we realized we cannot pay them now anymore, because this thing is going long and long. We have to be the teachers now. So at least tukue na kitu tunajua. Hata kama hujasoma sana, there's something you can tell your child about, you know. Plus, we've realized we are bonding more than when we used to see our kids for a very short period. Now we have bonded. We know most of their characters. We know wengine walikuwa najificha tu shule, you know.
Yes.
Maybe it was a God-given time for us to at least be with our kids.
I like that. I like that. Stella, back to you. Lessons. What lessons can we pick from 2020 to better prepare ourselves as parents in the coming year, especially where our finances are concerned?
Yeah, I think I'll agree with Bella that one of the things that I've learned during this season is to have what you call passive income. An income where I don't have to wake up in the morning to go and do the job to be able to earn. So very important is to be able to build a passive income, because what has survived in the last few months is the passive income. People are able to get from fixed income, from fixed deposit. People are able to get from money market something if they had already prepared themselves. So what is most important is, apart from just having another maybe job that you are doing on the side or something else you are doing on the side, you should also build a passive income so that if anything happens, then you have that fallback plan. That is number one. Number two is what I've learned as a parent and also as a financial advisor is that we need to always be prepared. We can't just be listening to people say, prepare, have an emergency fund, you know, have this and that. We need to action. I think for me, what I've learned most in this season is actioning. Let's stop talking, let's action, because I'm very sure last year we talked about the same thing, saving for Christmas, maybe doing this, doing that, and people don't action. So what I've learned, the key thing is let us action. Whatever we want to do, let us action. And I've also learned that you can live on the minimal. You can live on the minimal if you realize there are things you don't actually need.
Yes.
Yes, that we were actually thinking that we could live without. Now we have realized we can live without them. So we have also learned that lesson that there are things we can live without. And of course, what Bella has said is that one thing that I've taken and I really do appreciate this season for is the bonding with the children. For the longest time, we've stayed with the children, and you've realized even you don't hit a house manager. That is what I realized. The children can be able to do chores, and how are you saving that money? Are you putting that money aside that you would have paid someone to do the job? So it has taught us so many things, quite a number of things. And for me, I would say financially, we need to be prepared. This has taught us that emergency fund is a must. It is no longer a luxury, it is a must. And then, of course, like Bella has said, there are things we can live without. You cannot, the shoes and the handbags and all other things that we used to buy, they no longer matter. What matters right now is, can we have a meal on the table? So there's quite a lot that we have learned during this season.
Wow, I like that.
Yeah.
You know, I pray that we have actually learned
Yes.
those lessons, and even as we look forward to next year, that we will be putting those lessons into actualization. You know, sometimes you say you've learned, but you haven't learned. But I pray that majority of us have actually learned, and we are beginning to correct things, because, you know, this thing has hit us in an unexpected way. We were having a conversation with my wife the other day, and we were saying, you know, in March when this thing hit, you know, a few people were saying, this thing may take us until December. And we were thinking, December? Do you guys know what you're talking about? By June, hapa July, tutakuwa tuko sawa. Look at us. It's December. And we are still in the same mode. So it's important lessons that we have learned. Ladies, thank you so much for your time this morning. Thank you for agreeing to talk to us. Maybe each of you can give us a parting shot as we finish. Bella, what would your parting shot be to the parents who are listening in today?
I'll just tell them to stay positive. The virus will go away.
Mm-hmm.
Let us not indulge so much in the festivities, because January is here, and because we are praying, our kids are going to go back to school.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Asante sana, Bella. Thank you for being a part of the show. Stella, what's your parting shot?
Yes, my parting shot to the parents is that let's also teach our children to learn and understand matters to do with finances, so that even as they grow up, teach them to know that there is the importance of saving, teach them to know that there is what we call a seed, that a seed needs to multiply. Let us take this season to teach them, as they see us struggle, as they see us go through the challenges we go through, let them also learn that even in the future, they need to plan well in terms of their finances. So for me, I would say that, and of course, I would tell all parents that don't lose hope. Have faith in God. I've seen also God do miracles even during this season of COVID. He has done mighty things. He has been able to move people from one glory to another. So not all hope is lost. We have also seen the mighty hand of God moving in a mighty way. So let's keep trusting God, and let's keep believing in Him, because He's gonna do great things. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Stella Chapngeno, thank you so much. Bella Owino, asanteni sana. Thank you for being a part of Parenting Tuesday today. Well, we are out of time. I hope you have picked a thing or two from our lovely guest today. You know, don't overindulge this season. Think about January. That is what Bella has told us as a parent as well. You know, you have cut down. Just go with the bare minimum, because January, you want your children to go back to school. Let's think through. Let's plan better. And also, even as both of them have shared, let's learn the lessons so that next year we plan better, because when something else like this hits, we need to be prepared. That's all the time we have for Parenting Tuesday today. I hope the conversation has been beneficial to you.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs, from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.